Well, he's actually still talking behind me right now to the press, but I did catch some of what he had to say a few minutes earlier, and he was essentially evoking the fact that his party is being told that the Nupes alliance, this alliance of four left-wing parties, isn't being considered as one group, that Macron's camp is essentially saying that the largest group in parliament, the largest opposition force, is actually Marine Le Pen's party. Let's not forget that the Nupes, of course, is composed of the Socialist Party, the France Insoumise party, the party led by Jean-Luc Melenchon, and as well as the Communist Party and the Greens. So this ensemble of four parties essentially makes up the Nupes, and they're being told that they're not being considered as one party, more a group of four. So Jean-Luc Melenchon today is calling for the Nupes to be considered as one group so that they can be considered as the biggest opposition force, because he's saying essentially behind me that the extreme right, Marine Le Pen's National Rally Party, are being essentially wooed by Macron's party. He told us earlier that Olivier Grégoire, who is the speaker of Macron's Together Alliance, Olivier Grégoire, as well as the Justice Minister Éric Dupond-Moretti, have both evoked the idea of possibly cooperating with the far right in order to pass legislation. And he said that we are now facing an unprecedented situation in the Fifth Republic, or in the history of France really, where the ruling party is actually willing to cut deals essentially with the extreme right. Mélenchon also said that this is Macron's fault, that this is the fault of his party, that they didn't do enough to block the extreme right. Instead, they told voters to block the left wing, his party, his alliance, the Nupes alliance, and that the result of that is the score that we saw on Sunday, where Marine Le Pen's National Rally Party gained an impressive number of seats, and that this situation is actually a situation that's going to be very dangerous for France.
Julia, the Nupes alliance did very well. They scored 131 seats, and they're the largest opposition in the National Assembly, but it's still far short of what they were hoping to get.
Exactly. I mean, they did score in the lower end of estimates. It was still an achievement for them because 5 years ago, I mean, the entire left wing of France was completely splintered, and now they have managed to come together and form this alliance. The question really is whether or not it's going to be workable, and this is what Mélenchon behind me has been saying, that he wants to make sure that these four parties come together and form one party, one united group. Because today we heard the leader of the Communist Party, Fabien Roussel, essentially come out and say that this was a disappointing result, that they might be the biggest force in the opposition, and yet it did seem as though that the Nupes alliance really only appeals to a sort of metropolitan profile of voter, that they've essentially forgotten about the voters in the countryside, the poorer voters, the marginalised voters. So already we're seeing possibly a few fractures after the second round of the legislative elections, and so people are really asking whether or not this alliance is actually a workable one. Nonetheless, they do have the seats to really become a force in the opposition. If they do, this is going to make it very difficult for Macron to pass his agenda, which was why Mélenchon today has been saying that it could be that Macron could strike deals, cut deals with the far right in order to push his agenda forward, knowing that the balance of power right now is so fragile.
Julia, thank you very much for the update. Julia Kim reporting there. Now to talk